morning, Elizabeth.
Hi, good morning, V. Harry.
Good, you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Happy Friday.
Same to you. Good morning, everyone. It's your caseworker for Creda at Dreamers Together and my colleague, accredited rep, Elizabeth. We are going to be on this live today answering any general AOS questions that you may have. Just please keep in mind that no case is the same, and if you really have any, in-depth questions, just book a Q&A or a consultation with us, and we'll be more than happy to ask you a series of questions, conduct a consultation, um, and give you a little more guidance than we would during today's live.
I was going earlier through the Facebook group, and there's a few questions that I ended up having questions to, especially if it's like very, very, very long and very detailed. I wish it was a one sentence answer that I could give some of the comments, but especially for those maybe that have already received an RFE, I really would like to sit down and see what was submitted. I think I came a couple of income questions, RFEs on the I-864, and that one, it's very hard to kind of give an answer because I don't have what was submitted. I don't have the financial information of the petitioner. Do they qualify? Maybe the applicant has other options. Maybe a joint sponsor is their only options. Do they have 40 credits? Can they combine incomes? Can they borrow credits from each other? There's just a lot of questions. And I think that if an applicant is already dealing with an RFE, remember that you only get that one shot at responding to that RFE. You want to make sure that you get it done correctly. So that's kind of where I do recommend that you book an appointment, sit down with us, come prepared, have your documents, and we can go over it. We try to respond to the Facebook questions as much as we possibly can, but sometimes we end up with more questions than answers. So that's kind of where our Q&A does come in handy.
Thank you, Ellie. Also, the I-864, it is a very complex, it's not very complex, but it is a complex application because, one little hit or miss with some information and you can be, stuck with an RFE. And if you enter that RFE, and again, if you're off by $1 in any numbers or you don't submit the right documentation with it, then you can potentially run into being issued a notice of intent to deny. So just please keep in mind that when you are filling out the I-864, that you have the proper documentation with it attached to it, financial information attached to it. Also, keep in mind that if you are issued an RFE, definitely book a Q&A with us because you're asking the questions in the Facebook group, but again, we need to go over what was submitted for that RFE to be, responded to correctly. And please keep in mind that if that RFE is not responded to in an accurate time or in a correct manner with the correct information, then you can be hit with a notice of intent to deny, or they can just flat out deny your case.
I've seen a few cases that were denied because USCIS was still not content. Now, none of my cases, okay, none of my cases. I know it's not none of your cases, but I have seen here in the Facebook group a few applicants or a few members have posted that they got issued an RFE for the IA-64. Either it wasn't responded correctly or they failed to submit in time and they did not get that notice of intent to deny. It was flat out denied. Now, remember, once a case is denied, you can try to do an appeal. You're going to have to pay for it to be appealed, or you're just going to resubmit. In this case, we recommend to just resubmit. The
Yes.
appeal can take years. It's best just go ahead and resubmit the I-485 and make sure that you do it correctly. And of course, nobody wants to deal with a denial in AOS which is why we strongly suggest use the information, use the resources that are in the Facebook group. If you are trying to do this on your own, it is possible. You can. You just have to make sure that you have a straightforward case if you decide to proceed without an attorney. If you are needing an attorney or representation, you can reach out to Dreamers Together. We are a nonprofit organization. We can take your case and represent you. Or if you're more comfortable with an attorney, we also have an attorney list that you can reach out to. But I do have to emphasize that not all cases are going to be do it yourself. Okay. Um, I have seen also a few members here that, they thought they had a straightforward case. They didn't know there were things in the background that they hadn't taken in consideration, or maybe they were completely unaware of. And then something happens at the interview. They're told, hey, you need this, and then they need an attorney. So that's kind of where you want to make sure that if you're going to be prepping your own case, you really know your case, you really know the ins and outs of it. And if in doubt, please reach out to an attorney. Reach out to us, schedule an appointment. Come talk to us. If we can't take your case, we'll point you in the right direction. Now more than ever, we're here to support everybody.
I want everyone to understand that when we do conduct these AOS consultations, there is a series of questions that we ask, okay? Sometimes we do run into issues where, we do take your case, you hire us, and we prep, and now we run into the issue of, you know, something maybe that was missed or that wasn't understood. I see this a lot with the I-864s. Maybe the taxes weren't filed for the last 3 years, and now we kind of have to plan around that, right? We can't just take the case and file it and then, you know, anticipate that we get an RFE. Sometimes applicants maybe, they think that maybe their spouse did file all 3 years, but we run into cases where they didn't. So now we have to sit here and we have to, you know, come up with a plan in order to make this work, and there's more documentation that's needed. So the I-864 is a complex area where, you know, you can't just take your last year and submit it, very well knowing that the past two priors to that were not filed, because there is a question on the I-864 that asks, have you filed the last 3 years of taxes? If you have not, that is a no for you. They're going to want an explanation. They're going to want the non-filers letter from the IRS.gov website. So just please keep in mind that when we have these consultations, you have to find out whether your petitioning spouse has filed the last 3 years of taxes or not. That is a very, very important piece of information that you have to find out and know the correct answer to, because again, when we take the cases and we get the taxes, and now we're running into a little bit of issue where we have to work around that, and there's more documentation that's needed, and possibly a joint sponsor as well. So I think Elizabeth and I are just we are just touching base on the 864 today because, we see things that are missed. We see um, the information that is not submitted, that is needed to submit with the I-64, okay? You cannot just submit a W-2 from 2023 and then just submit the 2024 tax returns. No, you either submit all 3 years of tax return transcripts, so all 3 years of W-2s, or just submit the very most recent, which right now is the 2024 tax returns with the 2024 W-2. Do not mix, oh, I'll just put in the W-2 from 22 or 23 and then just submit my 2024 taxes. No. If you submit W-2s, the taxes have to go along with those W-2s.
Also, we do offer the review service for those that are interested in doing again your packet on your own. Now, keep in mind that with the review, you've done the packet on your own using all the resources that Dreamers Together has provided. And we're going to review the packet. We do ask that you send it to us exactly as if you were sending it to USCIS. It just um, makes it so much easier for us to match everything up. I've had cases where I've gone over the reviews and I've noticed, or we've noticed, I know you've ran into the same things of the credit, is that sometimes their dates of birth don't match. It's a lot of dates of birth you're looking at, or their socials, or a number doesn't match. So send us the packet as if you were sending it to USCIS, because we do a complete thorough review. Now, if we get the packet and it's missing information, we just can't complete that thorough review. So we do ask for a complete packet as if sending it to USCIS, and also the review is a review for your forms. If you have questions before the review, book a Q&A, and that way you will have the packet completed for us to review. We go over everything, but we can't go over every single question on how it's going to be answered, because then at that point we just recommend instead do the full AOS packet with you, and we'll answer every single question with information that we go over with you. So there's kind of a few differences between the services. So also, just keep in mind that there are options for everybody here. We just want to stress that I see a lot of people running into issues, and I just hate to see all these issues, because we can't help everybody. If everybody doesn't come to us, there's just no way to try to help everybody, unless we see you, talk to you, review your paperwork, see what your case looks like.
I also want to add to that that it is very, very important for you to have your cover letter. As Ali said, make sure your packet is presented to us in the manner of you sending it to USCIS, the complete packet with the cover letter, okay? Because this way I can, we can go through that cover letter and we can, you know, amend it as needed, okay? We'll work on it together, and that way when you leave, you have that cover letter in front of you and you know what goes in your packet, and how. Okay, that cover letter lets USCIS know what's in the packet in the correct manner and why. Um, if you need a cover letter with your packet, please feel free to hop into our the packet, the cover letter is there. It is there. It is a resource there for you that you're able to access, download it, and work on it and present it with your packet. It's very, very important. Um, documentation. Again, try to present your packet to us as you would to USCIS. That way we can match up A numbers, we can match up I-94s, we can match up birth certificates, okay? Um, I tend to say, if you're missing something, go grab it. Let's match up the numbers. So I don't want anyone to feel like they're lost or confused after we are done with our packet review, because I do ask, do you have any questions at the end? I tend to ask it 3 times before we hang up. Okay, do you have any questions? And no, okay. So again, it is very, very essential for that packet to be completed as if it was going to USCIS along with the cover letter and all the evidence to that packet. Okay. Um, I don't stress that with the removal conditions so much, because we can go through that whole packet at our session. Um, I stress it more so with the AOS packets. Um, and again, I even have this habit where if you are missing the last 5 years of where you lived, or if you may have moved, I don't make amends to that section yet. I ask you, is there an address you would like to add in, or have you moved within the last 5 years? So we do our best and our diligence here to go through these packets as best as we can with the information that you provide us.
I've had a couple of people. I read a lot in the Facebook group to kind of see where everybody's at. Um, And I see a lot of people, coming back fee, and they're very happy with the way that you reviewed their packet. And they're like, I had my packet reviewed by Cred, I had my packet reviewed by Natalie, I've had my packet reviewed by Elizabeth, and I've gotten approvals. I do let everybody that that we review their packets. Hey, like, this is missing. If you forget to correct it, you're gonna get an RFE. Or hey, if you submit your 40 credits, you're gonna get an RFE. I can go ahead and tell you now. So there's also, now going to the 40 credits, there's also the a letter here in the Facebook group, in the AOS Facebook group as well. If you're submitting the 40 credits, you're going to get an RFE. 99% of everybody is getting an RFE, so you want to make sure that you're prepared. So we also do have that resource here in the Facebook group, how to respond to that RFE once you receive it. So hey, for those that are, like I said, those are in question, book a packet review with us. Make sure you completely fill it out. It can give you that peace of mind. Now, if you're 100%, you don't need a packet review. Also, just double check everything and just play it by ear. Wait for your USCIS to issue an RFE, issue you biometrics, issue you an interview. Take the completed packet to your interview as well, because sometimes they'll miss scans in their system.
They
That way
will.
you have that way you have everything on hand in case they were to ask for it.
Also, we can't stress this enough, and LA 1,000,000% agrees with me. If you are married, you are to file. We definitely recommend married filing jointly, especially for those of you that want to adjust through your spouse. Especially for those of you that don't have the 10 years and the 40 credits. Please make sure that if you were married in 2025, you are filing your taxes married filing jointly. Anything you would like to add to that, Elizabeth?
Um, don't believe the tax person, the tax lady that
No.
says that if you file single, you're gonna get more. You probably will get more refunded, but you're not gonna have that piece of evidence, and you're gonna have to go back and amend it. It's gonna be a headache, not worth it.
Mhm.
Legally, married filing separate, married filing jointly. I know it's tax season. Um, I've seen a lot of things with the taxes as well. So make sure that you know what you're signing off, okay? And also make sure that if you're going to a tax professional, and I know this is not a tax group, make sure that they're taking responsibility for filling out your taxes. If something was to go wrong, that you're not self preparing it. Make sure that it is an accredited person or that it's a certified tax preparer. That way, if you run into any issues during your adjustment of status, you can go back to them and they can fix those issues for you.
Correct.
And again, it's not a tax group, I know, but those taxes are very important for the adjustment of status.
Correct. Whether it be maybe you're using them for marital evidence, married filing jointly, or for the I-864. And again, as Ellie stated, just please go back and check those taxes because sometimes I have seen um, professional professionals fill out the taxes and not self-prepare when they very well prepared them. So please, please review those taxes. Very, very important. Um, also, this went into effect on October 20th, 2025, that USCIS was no longer accepting checks, money orders, or any filing fees. The only filing fees they are accepting are electronic filing fees, and those would come in through the form G1450. So ideally, for those of you that did send your packet out after October 28th, 2025, just please make sure that you have either included a G1650 for ACH transactions straight out of the bank or a G1450 for credit card transactions, because USCIS will no longer accept any paper form of filing, such as bank checks, money orders, cashier checks. They will not accept anything aside from the G1650 or the G1450. So I just want to note that because I have also, met with individuals that their packets were returned, and that may very well have been the reason their packets went out after October 28th of 2025, and they added in like a money order or a bank check or cashier's check. Again, USCIS is no longer taking paper form of payments. The only forms that they are taking with the packets are the G1650 for them to withdraw straight out of your bank, or the G1450 for them to charge your credit card for the filing fees for the forms. All right. Oh, okay. So,
We have some few comments.
yeah. Good morning, Grace. Thank you for joining us. We always look forward to seeing you. And then Ellie, this one's for you.
Buenos días, Eva. Eva dice, ¿qué aplicaciones para renovar DACA? Eva, tenemos un tutorial ahí en YouTube, desde donde nos ve. Puede poner Dreamers Together oficial y le va a explicar paso a paso cómo hacer su renovación en línea. Es pasos similares si lo va a renovar en papel. En papel es el I-821D y el I-765. Mi recomendación es háganlo en línea, va a ser más rápido, les van a cobrar 555, se ahorran $50, reciben un número de recibo que confirma que inmigración ya recibió su paquete, versus mandarlo por papelería. Van a pagar 605, no saben cuándo van a cobrar su pago, si lo cobran, le regresan el paquete, no lo aceptaron por alguna razón, en línea. Pero lo puede buscar ahí en YouTube, Dreamers Together. Así como está, lo que aquí abajo, Dreamers Together, o como está aquí al lado, y está un tutorial en español and in English too. A tutorial for those of you that are interested in renewing your DACA. Highly recommend online versus paper. And keep in mind, I've been seeing a lot of members here in the Facebook group and in the DACA group also mention that they have been waiting months for their DACA approval to come in, and we've been stressed, and we cannot stress how important it is to give yourself enough time. I know we understand, money is tight right now. There's a lot of things going on. So try your best to get it renewed on time. Give yourself some time because it is taking about 5 to 8 months on average. And I've seen a few cases here and there that, move pretty quickly. Unfortunately, that's not the case for everybody. So just we continue to stress that out is make sure that you are renewing in time. 6 months, bare minimum. If you want to do it a year, you most definitely can. USCIS is not going to reject your payment. They're going to accept the payment and they will process it. Okay.
Good morning, Rosa. Thank you for joining us. I have another one
Good
for you as
morning. Yes, that was the same person, and I
well.
told them about the I-821 and I-765. I saw that one too.
Grace, 55 days into my AOS, waiting impatiently.
Maybe it'll be 75 days. Maybe you just have 28 more days. Griselda, it's the waiting time is very, very, very hard. But you're in line, so hopefully
Get there.
maybe next live you'll tell us, "Hey, I got an interview." Um, but I know that's very hard. What time frames are we seeing right now, if you credit? I'm seeing about the 6 to 18 months on average.
Yep. Same with my cases as well. 6 to 18 months. Um, I had just recently posted an approval that took over a year, well
Mm-hmm.
over a year. And then I
Yeah.
had posted approval that took 4 months. So we are all over the place.
Yeah. I have a case pending from January of last year. They're at month 13 now, and we have reached out to USCIS, and I'm just kind of, letting everybody know that most definitely reach out to USCIS, but please do not be disappointed if you get the same response as I got. The response that me and my client got were, you're within normal time processing time. You're within normal processing time. Please do not reach out to us until June of 2027. Not even 2026, okay? They said 2027 because according to them, it can take
Correct.
the 34, 35 months for approval on an AOS case. So if anybody's watching and you submitted at the later part of the year last year and you're worried like, oh, I'm seeing cases move very fast, why is it not moving? Unfortunately, it's just part of the process. Some cases will move a little bit slower, some cases will move a little bit faster. By all means, do contact USCIS, but don't get discouraged if it doesn't do anything because it may not do anything. It's happened to us and we're accredited. So, um, you know, that's kind of just the process for everybody. Let's see. Carlos.
Would you like to take this
I
one, Ellie, or
yes. Yes. Good morning, guys. I have my appointment on Monday for my I-130. Is there any specific questions my wife and I need to prepare for? If it's going to be for a consultation, I'm checking, Carlos, if you're with me and you are not with me. But, the questions that we go over is when did you get married? Taxes. Have you filed taxes? What kind of marital evidence do you already have? So make sure, you have those specific informations. Have you filed taxes? How much does each person make? I'm just going to say kind of your background. Just make sure you know. Oh, a big one is when did you come into the US? How did you come into the
Mhm.
US? So those kind of questions, more about your immigration background and your financial background to determine if you're eligible or what's the best route to take if to see how we're going to take your case. One thing that I do tell my clients, to be credit, and I don't know if you'll agree with me, is that we want to make sure that we have all of your information before we even decide to take on a case, because I don't want to run into any issues further down the line where, maybe they don't qualify or they don't qualify for the financial portion, and they're going to tell me, let's get started and then we'll find a joint sponsor. Finding a joint sponsor is very hard. I recommend everybody, hey, get to know what type of case you're going to have and have everything from the start. That way, once we start, we're trying to finish your packet off in a timely manner.
Correct. And we also ask about any criminal background as well.
Yes.
Very, very important. So don't assume if your case is expunged that you don't have to, disclose that at the consultation. It's very, very important. Um, if you do not disclose at the consultation, we take your case, we file it, and you go to that interview and they have that case sitting in front of them. Now you're running into an issue because even though it is expunged, you know, they they can still access it on their end. And now they may issue an RFE because they want more information about that, incident. And now your case is expunged. So now you're scrambling to hire an attorney to expunge that case. So please, please be very transparent at your consultations with us. It is very, very important.
Yes. Also, Attorney Charles Cook did mention the same thing last week on his live. Expungements for USCIS don't really count. So, one thing that we do want to kind of, just continue to stress is if there is some type of criminal background, just leave it as is. There is no, maybe to the public eye for your employer, yes, you'll need it expunged, but for USCIS, it's not going to do anything. They're going to ask about it, and it's best to have those documents available.
Correct.
Okay, Carlos says, thank you. There we go. Um, it's been, a pretty successful week this week. I have a few interviews coming up next week. How about you?
Same. I have a few as well. I actually had a few that did have interviews this previous week and they're still pending. Unfortunately, even if they state that they're going to approve you, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to approve you the same day. It may take them weeks, it may take them months. Um, so we just really have to sit patiently. All right, let's see. Veronica. Hi, Veronica. Good morning. I have been approved on my AOS and just came out from my second interview. Just to make sure everything was good again. Congratulations, you've been approved on your AOS and you just got out of your second interview. That can occur. They can issue a second interview if they choose to.
I think I've seen it more if there's something in the background. Now, Veronica, you don't have to answer, but
Hmm.
maybe there was something in the background where it triggered that second interview. Fortunately, none of my cases have had a second interview, but it can happen. So you kind of just want to, be prepared. Okay, just a few more questions and we will go.
Interviews are still being issued. So, just review all the paperwork in your packets, and you can obviously take some more marital evidence with you. But they're definitely issuing them.
Also, child to parent petitions, they're also having interviews, okay?
Hmm.
Don't get discouraged either if your child is the one that's petitioning for you and you get an interview, it's also part of the process. Remember that we are under a new administration, so maybe, a family member or a friend had their interview 2 years ago or 2 years ago and they didn't get an interview. Just keep in mind that a lot of things have changed since the last administration, and so mostly everybody are um, mostly everybody are, getting an interview issued.
I can tell you one thing, Elizabeth. Up here in Connecticut, um, at our USCI office in Hartford, Connecticut, um, I have never heard of interviews being waived. Um, Even the child to parent cases, they were required to present for an interview as well. They were given notice. So It's nothing new up here in Connecticut. We've always been given notices for interviews, whether it be child to parent. Maybe once in the blue moon, I did see an interview waived, under the old administration, but very rare. Maybe like two or three of them.
I think an interview is good. It means your case is moving.
Yes. Veronica, I don't know, but the officer was really nice and explained that he had to go over it again. Well, we're really happy that everything worked out for you, Veronica, and again, congratulations.
Veronica has been here for a while, so I'm happy to hear that, Veronica.
Yeah. Welcome to that
AOS?
green life. Hmm. Grace, okay. Have you guys seen an increase on your clients taking a lawyer to the interview? I have not, to be honest. I really
Mm-mm.
have not. I've had questions of, I don't know what to do. Should I take an attorney to the interview? That is totally up to you. If you want to, that's fine. But I have not, you know, seen an increase of my clients taking attorneys to their interviews. You're welcome, Veronica. Given the current climate, we just obviously we stress that everyone, you know, stays out of trouble. Wear your seatbelt, do not speed. Keep your DACA with you. Keep your DACA active. Renew on time. Um, you know, and as Cook has stated in his previous lives and other attorneys as well, if you find yourself in that predicament of being apprehended, there are steps. Okay, you have the right to an attorney, and also the really really big one is cancellation or removal. That is a relief that you may or may not qualify for, but again, an attorney can further let you know. Anything you'd like to add to this, Elizabeth?
Just emphasize, stay out of trouble, please. And come talk to us. We're
Hmm.
more than happy to help, but you really have to come talk to us. Everybody here, come talk to us. Come ask us your questions. Sit down, have a friendly, nice chat, point you in the right direction, take your case, review your packet. We can do it all, but not all. We can do a lot of it, and if for some reason we can't make sure, we will make sure that we point you in the right direction.
Correct. And also, I've had Q&As where I've reviewed paperwork, and if you have a pending court case, okay, for an arrest, please do not submit that paperwork. That is pending, okay? That has not been adjudicated, that has not been dismissed, because you will run into an issue, okay? Again, when you submit your packets, whether it be DACA, whether it be AOS, you do not want to submit paperwork showing that, whatever the case was, whatever the criminal case was, whatever you were arrested for, you do not want that paperwork showing that it's pending, okay? Uh, you you want a clean cut case where it was dismissed. I just trying to emphasize that because I have seen cases where uh, DACA was denied because they presented paperwork, that their case was pending. So you do not submit paperwork that your case is pending because you will run into an issue with that. Okay, let's see. A few more and we have to go. Let's see. Bernice is asking, hello, Bernice, you have a guide to file the citizenship.
It's in the works.
Freddie, how soon can I apply for citizenship after obtaining my green card? Additionally, when can I sponsor my wife who is a DACA recipient? Okay,
Yay, congratulations, Alfredo. This is one of my
congratulations.
clients.
Hmm. So, Ellie, go ahead. It's your client. You may answer him.
Yep. Um, so Alfredo, you're gonna have to wait, the 5 years after becoming a green card holder to apply for citizenship. You want to keep up with any dates of travel outside of the US that you do, because that will also be taken in consideration for your eligibility. Also, your wife, has to file for advanced parole. If she has not, have a legal entry. And at this point, it's best that your child files for her because remember, you have to wait 5 years. You can file for her for AOS once you're a citizen, or you can do consular process, which we do not recommend at all. So if you want your wife to kind of have, that similar process that you did, advanced parole, if she has a legal entry, go ahead and start working on it. But if she does not have a legal entry, she needs to take care of that legal entry. And
Correct.
book, come back with us. We're going to be more than happy to take on your wife's case as well. That was a pretty, his case took not as long. Also, it was a pretty straightforward, pretty fast case.
Congratulations.
Oh, I love this question. Are you guys accredited? We are. Dreamers Together is a nonprofit organization. We are accredited by the Department of Justice, by the EOIR department, and you can check our accreditation on the DOJ website. Only those that are accredited will show up on that website. And luckily for you and for us, we are on that page. So, make sure to check us out. So yeah, we can legally provide advice, and we hope to see everybody here in our consultations, appointments, doing what we do best. I think you froze, Vikreta, a little bit.
All right, so I think that's it for today, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye bye. Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Bye-bye.